All right, everybody. Welcome to the Art with Errol Podcast. This is our weekly check-in, and it is Monday the 21st of July. Whew. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. All right. Today's topic is going to be navigating challenges and turning our setbacks into stepping stones. I always like to kind of just, talk a little bit about who I am. So I'm Art with Errol. I am Errol, your host, and I do artwork. I'm a graphics designer. I'm a gamer, and also now a podcaster. So, this is our 29th episode. We're moving along. I like to do a little bit of a recap of last week. Last week was a pretty good week. We got, I think, 2 game streams in last week, which was good. We did our podcast. I've been on point getting the Monday podcast done. So I've been very, very happy about that success. Just being able to stay on task. And we've been doing an art video every Friday, which is great as well. When it comes to the gaming content, I wish I could do more. I'm just so limited on time. And that's what we're going to kind of touch on today, too, as well. So, there goes the cuckoo clock. Well, so when it comes to content creation, y'all, I feel like, we all have our own unique challenges. And my biggest challenge that we're facing today has been, did we go over we went over it last week. I'm sorry. My brain is a little scattered. I worked 8-hour shift, get off, and it was a little hectic today. So, biggest challenges that we're facing today, it's really been, the time that we have, Generally, I work an 8-hour shift, which I'm working at a gym, which is fine for now, and I come home and I got about a 2-hour, maybe 3 hours sometimes, it just depends, to do some content creation, right? Whether that's this podcast, whether that's some game stream time, or just if I'm going to just make a video, that's all the time I have, to actually do this creative journey, right? Being a content creator on YouTube, which our focus has been YouTube. So I want to stress that, even though I sometimes will game stream to other platforms, I think I'm trying to cut that out. I want to build the audience on YouTube. I just want to do one platform. I feel like it'll be easier if I can have the one platform, because then I have the option to have music playing when you're game streaming. You can have some music when you're just chatting and all that. To me, I feel like it'll be better if I can do that. But building the audience is very, very challenging. So our biggest challenge is building our audience, building our community. Another big challenge has been, just maximizing that 2-hour to 3-hour window that I have to create. It's always a challenge. And if you're like me, and this is going to pertain to you, you work and you want to do content creation, or be a content creator, you have to maximize whatever little time you have around your work and family life and, downtime, right? Everybody needs a certain amount of downtime as well. So typically I try my best to squeeze in as much as I can out of those 2 to 3 hours, but it's very, very challenging. If I can get started earlier, I always try to, so I can have a little bit more time. Try to squeeze out as much time as I can in the little free time that I know I can squeeze out. based around the work schedule, which, I work from very early in the morning till 1. And then I have my little window of time. And then during the school time, I'll be picking up the kids, taking them to after school activities and all the other stuff, right? So that is the life in a nutshell. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. Sleep and then get back up and do it again, right? So many things you want to do in life, and the time that you have to do the things is always going to be a challenge. And I think, especially if you're working and you have a family and everything. Now, if you're a single person, this may not pertain to you, because you can probably do your work, come home, have plenty of time to create, just do whatever, right? Not everybody's in that situation. I think other folks are, mostly like family men working, or a family lady working, whatever you are, right? And you still may want to try to be a content creator. I mean, it is kind of like an opportunity to earn money and all that stuff, but it's also an opportunity to build a community and, have fun with the stuff you enjoy doing. I think there's a lot of things that can be won, but I don't think you should ever focus on the one aspect. You got to be able to focus on, everything. So those are our biggest challenges, is time constraints, right? Time constraints. I think that's it sums it up. Time constraints. Some of the traps I think that, myself, I fall into, things you should avoid, things I should try to avoid at all times, is comparison, right? We shouldn't be comparing ourselves or our channels to other people, because when you do that, you're going to feel like, you're not accomplished. You got to see your accomplishments. So if you're doing a lot of comparison, this person has 100,000 followers, or this person has thousands of followers, and I only have like 10 or 5, which, that's, I think, what are we at? I think we're at like 6 on this podcast, which is not a lot of people. But, I think with time and working at this and getting better at it, we will grow. We will grow. It's just going to be everything is a challenge, right? Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy, if you just started podcasting and you got like thousands of followers right off the jump, and there's no challenge to it at all, then, it just, I don't know. It's not authentic. It's not real, right? So, another mental trap, I think, so don't compare yourself, really. Don't compare yourself to other people. You're going to grow in time. I think I'm going to grow in time. I believe that. It's just about putting in the work, putting in the effort, learning from your mistakes, and, giving your best. And I think people will come. I think that's how it will work. At least these are my theories. These are my thoughts. Another thing I think I fall into, or I think other people may possibly fall into, is, perfectionism. And I touched on this before. I think you can't expect your videos or your live streams to be perfect, because they're not always going to be perfect. There's going to be things that are going to happen. When you're using a computer, issues happen. Maybe you're recording something with your camera. And I've had this happen where, I was trying to do an art video and I was drawing. And I thought I had the camera recording. It recorded for a bit. The battery died. And then I lost X amount of time of me actually drawing. So I had a segment of me drawing, and then a long segment of me, doing artwork, but there was no video footage. And when I realized that it had stopped recording, I was like, wow, I missed out on a lot of time of this art video that I was trying to make. And I only got to capture the beginning and the end of the artwork, which sucks because you missed that big chunk of video, and you had to splice that together, and, it's not that great, right? The video didn't turn out that great. And I think it's still up. This was like early on. I did this, and it happened. Actually, I think it happened a couple times. I think it was when I drew Felix the Cat was one. Yes, Felix the Cat. I did Felix the Cat in the magic bag, and a large chunk of the video was just gone. I was so upset. I was like, I should have been checking the camera. And, when you're the one-man show, this is where the issues lie, right? Because you have to be your cameraman, you have to be, or camera woman, the camera person. You have to be all of the people, right? So you have to be working the artwork, and then you have to be checking your camera, make sure it's still recording. It's not as easy as people may think to just do an art video or do any kind of video, really, because you could set a camera in front of you, turn it on, have it plugged in, and something could go wrong where it just turns off on you and you miss the footage, or you're trying to record. Let's say you're just speaking into the camera and you go over there and you're like, it didn't capture anything. It's terrible. It happens. I guess maybe it happens just to the best of us. So, don't concentrate on perfection. It's my circle back to perfection, right? Don't concentrate on perfection. Try your best to do things as, good as you can, but don't concentrate on perfection, because if you concentrate on perfection, you'll never get the video done. You'll never get the live stream done, or you'll be so upset that it will ruin your live stream, or it'll just ruin the content because you'll be angry these things are happening. And things happen, like even with live streams, like you could have mic issues, you could have audio issues, you could have issues with the video game you're trying to stream, you could have issues with all kinds of things could go wrong, and it happens, and you have to be able to just work through it on the fly and try your best, and not focus on it being perfect, because things will happen. So those are like some of the mental traps you could fall into. I think those are the two biggest ones. And if you guys have another one, please comment back to me, give me feedback, as I'm trying to build the community. So your participation means a lot to me. I like to hear your thoughts on mental traps that you could fall into. One of the challenges I think that shaped our path here for us at Art with Errol, which is me, is when I changed jobs and moved down here to Kentucky, I set a goal for myself to be consistent with my content. I said I don't got to be perfect, but I would like to at least be consistent. And it is a challenge to be consistent. It's a big challenge because I've been so inconsistent when I first started creating content. And I think I'm not even recording. I always have issues with this. This is just something that, okay, it's going now. I've been so inconsistent before with my content that, I would gain followers, lose followers. Some people would participate, some people wouldn't. Just so many things that I think, were setbacks for myself by not being consistent with the content creation. So having a consistent schedule, I think it's really been one of the things that have shaped my channels now, because I'm starting to see more now that I'm more consistent. I'm seeing followers come in. I'm seeing some people stay. Not as many people really participating in the chat as I would like, but I think that will come with time as well. Mainly because I do mostly shorts with my gaming channel than making like videos. I think you get more comments on videos than you do on shorts, because people are just like doom scrolling. I don't know if you heard that term before, but that just means they're just watching the content and then scrolling up, and it just continued to go with that. Continuously scrolling is doom scrolling. Sorry, y'all. I needed a little drink to clear my throat. So I think that really has shaped my way forward. Is just, being consistent with everything, having an actual schedule to stick to. Whereas before, I just kind of did things randomly, or, missed videos, days of posting, or whatever. So I've gotten a lot better this year since I moved down here, and setting that goal. I think I'm sticking with it. I'm meeting that goal, which I'm extremely happy about. Some of the tools I think that can help you or help myself even, is to set like small winnable goals like that. And that's an winnable goal. If you can at least figure out your schedule and find that time block that you can actually do what you want to do, whether that's shooting videos and posting them. If you can just carve out a set days or set hours each day to do your content, that's a win right there. It's a big win. And I think that's an achievable goal, a small achievable goal that anybody can set. It's definitely worth taking the time to go through and carve out that time, Staying consistent even when, life is messy, right? Things happen, just staying as consistent as you possibly can. I think another thing that can help you push through and become better at creating content is also having good folks in your corner, right? People that are encouraging. Also having a community would be great, a powerful community that's behind you. It's just something I'm still working on. I'm trying to build it, So if you would like to be a part of the Artistry Society, that's what we're going to call our community, a community of artists and gamers, And even if you're not an artist, it's fine. You're a gamer. It's, you're in the family. Those are some of the things that I think, are kind of critical, I think. Some critical tools that everybody should have. Good people behind you. Also, setting small winnable goals. And then trying to be as consistent as possible. Setbacks happen. And I think things change, on a whim sometime. And, you have these little setbacks. But I think you can't let that discourage you. You just have to look at it as, okay, this event happened. I can't do X, Y, and Z. But maybe I can do something another day or something, and use it as like, a learning point or a stepping stone to like get over the hump or whatever. Because there's always going to be things that pop up. There was a few weeks ago, there was things that popped up, and I had like extra appointments and other stuff that I had to take care of. Issues with the car and things like that, and then you don't have that 2 hour or 3 hour window to create, so then you're trying to see if you can fit it in another day, and that's fine. Those things happen. It's life. Nobody's perfect, and don't expect perfection. That's going back to that perfection thing. Don't get trapped in I gotta be perfect, but try to be as on target as you possibly can. Just don't worry if something happens. You just, like I always say, notify everybody. Keep your community informed. That's why when I can't stream or anything, I always try to do the community posts on YouTube. I always try to like tweet it out if I can as well. No stream today, something popped up, try to be informative. People are generally understanding, and they won't leave your community. I think when you go dead silent, I think that's a problem. I think that's when people say, this guy does not posting, or, we don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to delete his channel or unsubscribe or whatever. And then, there's no delete of the channel, but there's unsubscribe, right? So they'll unsubscribe, and then you lose a follower because you just weren't communicating. Which, social platform is for communication, right? Because people aren't mind readers. They don't know what's going on. All they know is you're not making content. They're not going to stick around. So being as informative as you can when stuff goes awry. I think that's also a big, big tool that you have in your tool belt. Like, oh, this happened, I can't stream, or I can't make the video today. No video today. I'm going to try to get it up on this day or something, Always big, y'all. It's always big. And these talking points are a lot for me, too, as well, because I got to constantly remind myself what I should be doing. Because I don't always get it right, I don't always get it right. I try my hardest, to do well at these things, but I'm far from perfect. So, just trying to figure out the creative journey, I think, is a struggle for a lot of people, But I think some of the things that I've been going over each week and talking about, like our last week and successes we had, because we had successes last week. We missed one game stream. It's not bad, And I posted on the community that I couldn't get it in. I was going to try to squeeze it in, but I think when I got home, it was just too late after I got from my appointment. I had a dental appointment, and it went a little longer than expected, and it was, further away than, so by the time I got home, it was a little too late to stream because I had work the next day, so there was no time to get the game stream in. I had to basically, eat dinner, shower, do my stuff, and then just get ready for the next day. So, that's just sometimes that's the unfortunate things that happen. Trying to be a content creator, trying to do these things, and all you can do is, like I said, inform your community, and hopefully they see the post, hopefully they see the tweet. If they're following you on all platforms, which, you never know. Some people may follow you on YouTube, but not follow you on X. They may not follow you on Instagram, so they don't get some of the updates if you're doing them in different platforms, So I think it's very important to stay encouraged. Like I said, if you don't have good people backing you, that can also be a problem, And I would encourage you guys to share your challenges, Let me know what some of your top challenges are, where are you working on your content creation? I definitely would like to hear from the community. So, posting on the whether you're listening to this on Spotify or YouTube, I should get a notification when y'all put a comment down. So I should be able to check that, and that would be nice to hear from y'all. I've been focusing on YouTube, so I would appreciate more followers and listeners on YouTube. But I did get the podcast on pretty much all of the podcasting platforms, that the major ones at least. I got it on Spotify, we got it on Amazon Music, we got it on Apple Music or Apple Podcast. So I got it pretty much as far reaching as I could make it. So wherever you're listening, or if you're listening on your way to work and you want to talk about your creative journey, I'd definitely like to hear it. If you want to tag me on Instagram, it's ArtwithErrol. I'm easy to find. I purposely made it easy to find me by using the same name across all platforms, just to make it easy for everyone. I don't want to have too many different names, so but for the gaming channel, I just tacked on gaming. So it's ArtwithErrol Gaming. Then it's ArtwithErrol Podcast, and then just for the art channel, it's just ArtwithErrol. Just to keep it simple. And every other platform, it should just be ArtwithErrol. And that's just making it easy for people to find me. So we can talk about a little bit what's going on this week. The game plan is to get at least 3 game streams in tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then an art video on Friday. So for our gaming content, we're just playing some shooter games. When we come back, because I'm gonna take a week off next week of game streaming. When we come back that following week, when my kids are back in school, I'm going to try to play through South of Midnight. That's a game I chose because it's based in Louisiana, and I'm from Louisiana, so I want to play through that game. And we'll play through that game, for the next following weeks after that. And I'm thinking we'd do 2 days of that game and a shooter game on Thursdays. It's just like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is our game streaming days. We'll do 2 days of that game, and then a shooter game, either Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever or something on Thursdays. I'm gonna try to keep shooter Thursdays a thing. So we'll have a go through game we can play, and then a shooter game on Thursdays. And then for this week our art video, I was thinking, since Fantastic Four is coming out this week, we would do Fantastic Four sketch in our sketchbook, and that will be fun. I think we can just do like the old school Fantastic Four and just sketch them out, and nice little art video for Friday. I think that will be great. So that is our plan for our art video. And if you didn't check out our last art video, you can go check that out. I try to do current stuff, so it may be from a game. We did Donkey Kong last Friday. It was Donkey Kong and Pauline from Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I think we keep on with the theme of like what's current, because that just gives you something easy to draw or sketch, right? Because there's constantly things coming out, either in movies or games, so it's always something we can sketch or draw just to get like some practice artwork in, and it's fun. So I've really been enjoying our art videos on Fridays, because I still love drawing. I still love sketching. I still love using pencil colors and all that stuff. Next year, our plan is to get back to doing some actual paintings, because I still love painting. So that will be a lot of fun. We'll do some paintings. And we'll try to do those in like a full video instead of these short videos that I've been doing. So we'll get back to doing something like that. And we're making our way through that sketchbook. Like I am filling in pages. So like by doing a one art video every week, we're going through the sketchbook, which is nice. We can probably fill up that whole sketchbook by the end of the year. I think so. I think we'll fill that whole book maybe, or come close to it at least. That would be nice. And I think that's where we're at with everything, y'all. We actually hit 30 minutes already. That's wild. That's wild. When I do these podcasts alone, eventually I would like to have guests. I'm still new to the podcasting game, y'all. I'm still kind of developing this and learning from my mistakes on this, which I make a lot of mistakes still. I try my best to like remember to click on this and do that and share and all that stuff. But we gotta keep learning, gotta keep trying, keep pushing forward, right? So yeah, you can always tag me on Instagram or YouTube and tell me like the challenges you guys facing in right now. That would, if you guys want to participate in this podcast, that would be cool. We can all push through this stuff together. I think we can all come up with solutions and find ways to help each other. Because that's what social media should be, good communication between folks, not discouraging everybody or, downing people for what they're trying to do in life. Yeah, so I think that's where we're at, y'all. And I had a lot of fun today. I thought this was an interesting and good topic, So, turning your setbacks into stepping stones. How do we do that, y'all? How do we turn those stepping stones, turn those challenges into stepping stones? Really, you're just learning from your mistakes. That's what that means. You're learning from your mistakes. And each time I think you get a little bit better. When you make mistakes, that's how you get better. So it's all a part of that 10,000 hours or, it's about making content and learning and as you go. So stay away from those mental traps, y'all. Don't compare yourself to other channels because that will just, send you in a downward spiral because you'll feel like I'm not achieving. Look at your achievements. Focus on your achievements. I'm making small strides here and there, and I look at those as like, hey, it's better than last time. So don't compare yourself. Don't try to be perfect. Just try to make a great video, a good video, and don't got to be perfect. If you have a mistake here and there that you can't fix, sometimes you just got to go with it, If you're recording videos, a lot of times you can re-record, but there's only so many times you can re-record before you just, give up on it. So, don't do that. Just if you have to, you take a break from it and come back the next day. Don't fall into that kind of trap. So if you keep seeking perfection, like I said, I think you're gonna hurt yourself more than anything. So those mental traps, try to stay away from the mental traps. And that will help you turn your challenges into stepping stones. If you don't get it right this time, try it again next time. Get it right the next time. More hours, more time you do, the better you get at something. When I first started this podcast, I was nervous. I couldn't, talk really well. So I think I'm doing better at all that. I'm much more relaxed. I feel a little bit more confident because I've been like coming up with topics and like having bullet points. So I'm looking at my bullet points to have something to talk to. You don't got to have a well-written script. I think you can do good stuff with good bullet points, and then you can speak your mind and let things flow. That's how I've been working this podcast, and I think it's starting to come out better each time as I, get more comfortable and have something to talk to, instead of just free talking and rambling so much. So, this is good, I think, and I'm happy with the way things are going. I always have room to improve, and I think everybody has room to improve. So we'll leave it at that, and you can, hit me up and let me know how you're going to turn your challenges into your setbacks into stepping stones. All right, y'all. You guys have a great Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Share the podcast. Become a member of the Artistry Society. And holla at your boy. Till next one, y'all. You know what to do. I'm out of here, y'all.